This episode of the Sports Box is brought to you by Mic'd Up Entertainment and DJ Mike Velarde. For all of your event planning needs, make sure you contact Mike at 609-864-5925 and tell him that you saw him on the Sports Box.
And we're on the air. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the show that will just make Helen Keller start to see again. This is the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters right here. I am Mike Galetta, a.k.a. Hamilton Mike, along with my partner, Brian, the Ranger Retard. Brian, how are you?
I'm not speechless that often, but sure. Helen Keller? Yeah.
We could be ophthalmologists. What the hell, you know? It's all about the sports talk. Anyway, in our quest for 32 NFL preview games that we are going to talk about, we now head out west to the Sunshine State, where a team has relocated. And yes, they are out there. Not this year they relocated, but last year. But they are out there. We're going to talk to the man who still follows them, still loves them, and he's in our area. Let's talk to Vince Flukey. Vince, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike and Brian. How are you guys?
Phenomenal, sir. How are you?
It's always nice and jovial.
Yeah.
It's a little hotter out here in LA, actually, but
Yeah, how's Lake Harbor Township? About 20 minutes away from us. Anyway, well, that's another show. Anyway, let's talk Rams. Brian, stat me. Let's talk Los Angeles Rams.
First year of the reincarnation of the Los Angeles Rams, 4-12, third place in the NFC West. They did not make the playoffs. Not a pretty picture offensively. They had the 32nd overall ranked offense. Math majors, there's 32 teams in the NFL. 31st on the ground, 31st through the air, and the 32nd most points scored. Not great results. At quarterback, it was kind of a disaster from the get-go. Case Keenum won the job out of camp. 9 touchdowns, 11 picks. Jared Goff got a couple games in, 5 touchdowns and 7 picks. Running back Todd Gurley had a down year for him, just under 900 yards and 6 touchdowns. Leading receiver was Kenny Britt, just a hair over 1,000 yards and 5 scores. He has since moved on to actually less greener pastures in Cleveland. Defensively, they were pretty excellent, Mike. 9th overall defense in the league, 60th against the run, 10th against the pass, and as a result of that Jared Goff trade, they did not have a first-round pick. And I want to start there with you, Vince. If it could have gone wrong last year for the Rams offensively, it found a way to go wrong for the Rams. Goff didn't win the job out of camp. Case Keenum kind of surprised and took over. And actually, they won 3 in a row the first 4 games of the year, and everything kind of fell off after that. How disappointing was it for you as a Rams fan that a guy like Goff, who the team put so high of an amount of resources into, couldn't beat out Case Keenum to start the season?
well, I didn't really expect that to happen per se. Jared Goff coming in had to learn the system where Keenum was already there and knew it. So, and I didn't think Jared Goff was the next coming of Andrew Luck anyway. So. That really wasn't a surprise. I was just hoping that he would grow, as the season went on, but he was limited with his surroundings.
See, I think Jared Goff, and we had talked about it before, Vince, I think Jared Goff's going to be fine. I think he's got to get in there, take his lumps, and become the quarterback they want him to be. Now, whether he's going to be Andrew Luck-like or whatever the case may be is soon to be determined. But you talk about the weapons he has around him. Obviously, Gurley's a good weapon. But you talk about the wide receivers. They brought in Robert Woods. They lost Kenny Britt. You're talking about a team with Robert Woods and Tavon Austin, Tavon Austin they weren't that big on a couple years ago, and they re-signed him to a big deal. Do you think the Rams are okay at wide receiver and have enough weapons for Goff to develop, or they have a ways to go yet?
No. No, they've never surrounded any of their any of the quarterbacks with wide receivers. I don't know what the philosophy is there. It's very frustrating. Tavon Austin is not a number 1. I don't think he's a number 2. He's a number 3 slot receiver. He should not be getting number 1 money. Do I like Robert Woods? Is he a number 1? No. So it's pretty frustrating to be a Rams fan since the greatest show on turf left. They haven't had any wide receivers. And when the number wide receiver leaves to go to Cleveland,
yeah, that tells you right there.
That's enough said.
Yeah, that's kind of a slap in the face. And to your point, Vince, they haven't had a winning record, it appears, since the 12-win season in 2003. So it has been a while coming. But, especially just the chagrin of fantasy football players, it was really a down year for Todd Gurley. And, he was somebody who was really thought to be like, the next big, great running back in the NFL. But he had a down year. From your perspective, was that a result more of a lack of quarterback play and teams just stacked the box, or was he just ineffective?
I think it was a little bit of a mix. It was a lack of offensive line play, that's for sure. The offensive line was god-awful, which they addressed this offseason. But I don't know if you remember, but Gurley dropped like 10 or 15 pounds going into the season last year, hoping he would be faster. So if you watch them during the year, he wasn't breaking nearly the amount of tackles he was his rookie year. But I think that's all changed this year. I think he's going to get out of his sophomore slump. He put the weight back on, and so far the word in camp is he's hitting like he was his rookie year. So I'm actually looking forward to the old Todd Gurley.
So you look at and quickly on the offense, Vince. I think you're going to be happy with Tyler Higbee this year, rookie out of Western Kentucky. I hear a lot of good things about that kid. I think he's going to be a nice little safety valve for Goff if he needs it. In the way of the defense, Brian said the defense was 9th in the league, and I think that bodes well for Rams in games, that their defense can keep them in games if Goff struggles. Not a lot of free agent moves coming off the offseason. And especially, I'm shocked that Mark Barron a couple years ago, when he came to the Rams, has played as well as he has. Do you think this Rams defense, even with the addition of Connor Barwin, will do well again this year?
How can they not? I mean, they had the 9th-ranked defense. They get one of the best defensive minds in the game as the coach. Now, the only thing that's a little bit concerning is now they went from a 4-3 and they're going to play a 3-4.
Yeah.
So even though Robert Quinn isn't, listed as the outside linebacker, he's probably going to be on the line all the time anyway. But it's a different philosophy. So depending on how they adapt to that, I think they should be as good, if not better, than last year. I'll give you another little nugget there. In the defensive secondary, you got Trumaine Johnson, who was hurt. But 2 years ago, he was a stud. So if he comes back like he did 2 years ago, then that's a lockdown.
Yeah, and you talk about that. You talk about the defense being the way they are. It's tough to move over to a 3-4 with the same group of guys you had playing the 4-3. If it was a turnover and you had some, 4 or 5 or 6 guys move in there, it's a little bit different. But like you said, it's going to be a tough transition with that 3-4. It's going to be interesting.
Before we get to the schedule, one thing I want to just point out from last year, to the chagrin of my partner over here, is the Rams' best offensive output last year was the 37 points they scored in a Week 3 win at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, that ain't going to happen this year, so we won't talk about that.
I just wanted to bring that up, Vince. I want to give you the high five for.
Why don't you just kick me in the ass? What was that? See, Vince, it's not all about love here sometimes, but sometimes we actually fight, but that's okay.
Hey, Brian, can I tell you that lunch that Mike bought me last week, because of that game, was fantastic.
That's glorious.
That's the second bet I've lost in with the Rams.
That's what I love to hear. So
we won't get into that.
We're going to take a look at the schedule this year for the LA Rams, and again, the question's going to be what they're going to be able to do offensively, because they have a couple teams they're going to play. I mean, they're in a division with strong defenses in Seattle and Arizona. Obviously, you got 4 games against them. And you look at some of the other teams they're going to have to play this year. There's a stretch of games.
I see.
Mike, I'm going to let you take this one because I know this is your specialty.
I see Murderer's Row coming right now, Vince. Let's talk about. I always look at a Murderer's Row where it's 4 or 5 or even whatever games, amount of travel or just games that they're going to be rough into. I see Week 4. They're off to Dallas. They're home against Seattle, obviously a division game, but then they travel across the coast again to Jacksonville. Home against Arizona for a bye week to go to New York to play the Giants, and then home against Houston. That is a very rough stretch for them early in the year, where the Rams are going to have to get off to a decent start to have any inklings of trying to make a playoff push or a respectable year. Do you agree?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't see a playoff push this year anyway. Now, jury's still out on McVay and whether or not he's just too young of a coach to motivate the team.
Yeah. But he is better than Fisher.
Experience, but I do think he's going to do really good things for Goff.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be a tough stretch. I wouldn't expect them to come out that stretch with a winning record.
Well, the good thing for Goff, I think, the part of the schedule that I think is going to be in his favor specifically is the first 4 games are against teams whose secondaries are. Let's just say they're below average.
Subpar.
Right?
Yep.
As has been documented on the Sports Box, the Colts haven't stopped anybody since '86. The Redskins aren't very good. The Niners aren't very good. And the Dallas secondary is god awful. Trust me, I know. So if there's going to be a spot for Jared Goff to kind of get right and really get going this season, I think the first 2 home games are a good spot for that to happen. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's tough. The down part is it's a new coaching staff, they're all going into new systems, so you don't really expect the first couple games to be smooth, but they're going to have to be if they're going to make any kind of push.
On the plus side, they only come far east, 3 times the entire year. So from a travel standpoint, that's not bad to compare to some of the other teams.
Yes.
We had one of the East Coast teams, I forget which one it was, had come east 6 times, which is crazy. But so I mean that's this.
And one of them is off the bye week too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have Arizona at home, and then they go to New York. So that's kind of a tough spin. Then they come home for Houston. So it's not a good stretch in there. I mean, the last 3 games are even going to be a little tricky because you're going to Seattle where they could be going for first place. You got Tennessee where they could be pushing to make get in the playoffs or win the division, and then you got San Francisco just trying to play out the season, trying to get a win or 2 during the entire year. So.
The one game I think that Vince probably has circled is Week 14, December 10th, where they host the Eagles. And I think because, Vince, you live in the Philadelphia area just like we do, and you're watching Carson Wentz's first year. This is probably a kind of a stupid question, but based on what you've seen so far from Wentz, you've probably had your Eagle fan friends giving you crap, like, oh my God, I can't believe your team let us take this guy, but, that's probably the win you really want to have, right?
Yeah. You could say that any better.
That's fair enough.
That's why we're here at Sports Box.
Yeah.
So, Vince, we're going to put you on the spot like we do a lot of people. What is your estimation and record for your LA Rams this year?
Well, I think they are going to make some really positive strides.
Yep.
I am looking forward to seeing them again like they do every year. But I do not think it's going to be a winning record this year until they get some better weapons around. He has another year of development under his belt. So I'm going to go put him at 6-10.
Okay.
Still an improvement.
And like I tell a lot of people that I think new quarterbacks in a brand new system, they always take a step back their sophomore year. It's just a matter of, is Goff going to take a big step back or a small step back? If he takes a small step back, that's fine. You just don't want him to take a big step back and go and start the whole process over again in a couple of years.
Yeah, but the problem with taking a step back is he was on the staircase last year. So, you're taking a step back from what?
Yeah.
How far back can you go?
That's what I'm saying,
offensively, they were... it's a shame for the really, really strong players the Rams have on defense that their offense can give them any run support. Because that defense is fantastic, and they get no credit. Because anytime someone talks about the Rams, it's, oh, look, their offense is terrible.
Yeah, and it's a shame they didn't get Goff in there early enough, because if they would have put him in there and let him take his lumps, he'd have a full year to work under his belt, and then he could work the second year in the system.
Yeah.
Now he's going out about half a year into an NFL season where this year he's going to run it for his life, like Vince said, and you just got to roll with it. You got to roll with it. At this point, I think Vince will agree. You got to roll with Goff. He's your future. He's the guy you picked. You got to get him in there.
Yeah, and I disagree with you guys a little bit on that. I think Goff takes a step forward. He's got a better line with Whitworth coming over, and he switched out to center.
Yep.
And I think Gurley's going to look a lot better. And he didn't have a real good quarterbacks coach. There hasn't been a good quarterbacks coach in LA in maybe forever. Mm-hmm. But I think with McVay there, he's going to make some good strides with himself.
And that could be
and
that could be true. But on the flip side, we talked about the wide receivers, about Woods and Tavon Austin not being those deep threats or guys that he can rely on. So now you're giving a guy a good running back with no aerial attack. So it's kind of going to balance out. You're going to see what he can do with that. It's going to be interesting to see. I think he does all right though. Whether it takes a year, 2, 3, I think Goff's going to be fine. It's just a matter of sticking with him, letting him take his lumps or beating or whatever it is, and then roll from there. So, all right, so that's good. 6-10. So
it's an improvement.
That's it. That's all the time we have for the LA Rams preview. I want to thank our friend and affiliate to the Sports Box, Vince Flukey for the LA Rams preview. Vince, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Vince, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to you guys. That's it. And remember, you can always get us on social media if you need to.
As you know, one of 32 previews we're doing for all the NFL teams just happened right now. Make sure you check out the other 31 on our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook and Twitter at SportsBox Show. Check us out.
Make sure you get that smooth next time. Anyway, thank you for watching us. And remember, at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters is right here. Thank you for watching. See you. 1, 2, 3.
Don't forget to subscribe.